So I just finished having this like massive ribeye steak. It was delicious, fatty, just everything I wanted. Had a little bit of rice on the side, had an avocado, and really I couldn't have asked for more. It was like the perfect dinner, and it just tasted really good. So that's really all I got to say about that. But anyway, as I was eating dinner, I was thinking today I tried making a couple of videos, and for the first time, I want to see how it would be if I tried to script something out. Now, I pride myself on my ability to talk. Like, I just feel like I've always been a good speaker. I can talk to people. I know how to just maneuver in difficult conversations, and overall, I guess I'm just a good speaker, right? So, because of me trying to do the script and trying to do so much with that, I felt like it was way harder for me to actually get a video out. Like, I'd spend so much time writing the script, but then as I was talking, I felt like in my head, I was just trying to follow these words, and then I was like, I kept messing up. It just felt robotic. It didn't really feel like me. So I'm just coming at you now with no script, just talking about some things I just really want to get across. So I don't know if anyone's ever felt that way, for any creators or anything you do in life. Sometimes you feel like you prep so much for it, and then when you do it, it just feels robotic. Like, sometimes it's just better to do a stream of consciousness, like from the heart type of thing. So I don't know. I mean, that's just how I felt. So I wanted to come out here and just do the video really from the heart. So all that being said, the video I originally wanted to do was I wanted to talk about some early career mistakes that I made that I feel like stunted my career growth, and some things, that I learned that if I could go back, some things that I would change. And the hope here is that if you're listening to this video, if you're new in the industry in software, or really any industry, or if you're experienced and you're still making mistakes like these, then I can help impart some wisdom onto the viewer, and hopefully you can resolve those mistakes. Okay, so the first one was one that I really struggled with. So specifically in software engineering, I think there's like two main sides, at least from what I think about. There's front-end engineering and there's back-end engineering. I've only worked in a single company. Maybe another company, there's more sort of categories, but at least where I work, it's very much like the back-end team and the front-end team. Now, when I first started, I think a lot of people, when they first get started in programming, they might learn languages like HTML, CSS, JavaScript, languages that really lend themselves well to front end, or maybe they pick up a popular framework like Angular or React. So because of this, all the projects that I was taking were front end projects, right? So I was effectively like pigeonholing myself. And I remember one of the features that I was assigned to the first time, it was like this full stack feature. When I say full stack, I mean front end and back end. And after working on it for quite some time, my manager pulled me aside, and it was obvious that I wasn't really as good or as passionate on the back end as it was in the front end. So what he did was he helped me he brought in some other engineers to take care of the back end, and I stuck on front end. Now, the cool thing about doing this, going deep on front end in the beginning of my career, I'm talking about first 6 months, was that I sort of quickly gained expertise. I was becoming the front end guy on the team. The thing is, the front end team was only like 5 strong, right? Maybe even less when I started. I don't quite remember. But then you had the back end team that was like 30 to 40 people. So I was completely different. And I think what happened over time was anytime new opportunities would come up, let's say like another feature came up, or there was something that people needed help with, or worse yet, let's say a production fire. For those of you not in tech, production fire is effectively like the application as an end user would use it is defective, right? They're having an issue with it, so that's our first priority. If any of this related to backend engineering, I couldn't help. So I completely separated myself, and now there was like this whole side of the company and issues that I couldn't work on, right? And let's say that was like, even if that was 50%, let's say it was strictly 50-50, like I had 50% of opportunities in front end, 50 of opportunities in back end. That was 50% of stuff that I could have been doing that I didn't do. Meanwhile, all my other peers were out there doing it, advancing their careers, becoming more well-rounded, right? And I was just here like in my silo thinking that that was gonna help me out because I was gonna be, that much better. But really it turned out that it wasn't better. And it wasn't until maybe, honestly, like a year and a half into my career that I was like, okay, I'm finally ready to start doing back end. But again, meanwhile, everyone else that I started with had already been doing both. So they were climbing up a lot faster. And subsequently, some of them were getting promoted faster. They had access to working on, larger scope projects. They were already learning more about the platform because they just frankly have more exposure. So really the point here is, if you find yourself pigeonholing yourself, especially honestly, whether you're new or experienced, I highly recommend branching out. I think more so if you're new, because if you're experienced, it is good to be specialized because you will be the person that can solve these things. And after a while, you do want to build expertise in that area, but you also want a little bit of background so that way all those experiences, I think, as an experienced dev, can help you better understand a system or come up with a solution, so on and so forth. But if you're new, definitely go for breadth and not depth. There's like that famous like T graph. Like you want to do as much as you can in the beginning before ever going too deep into something. So just one thing to make a note of, because it happened to me, and if it happened to me, it might happen to you, okay? So the second thing that really impacted me in the beginning of my career was being very sensitive to feedback. So I've always been a sort of sensitive person. I feel like that's just the environment that I was raised in. You know, my dad's a very sensitive person. My mom is definitely more of the tough one. My dad is the one that like cries in movies, and he's very sensitive to what people tell him. So I grew up a lot with that, right? I mean, I look after my parents, especially as a kid. So I observed a lot of that. I learned a lot of that. And going into work, what ended up happening was when I was getting feedback from my manager, I mean, it was to the point where I was so stubborn and I was like, they don't know what they're talking about, you know? I don't need to listen to this. Like I felt like I was way better. Or if they told me something, I would take it to heart and it would like impact my work. I'm talking about, I used to be on Slack. Like I would go to work and purposely set myself on Slack. Like I would just become like a loner, right? I was so just like not into it. Someone gives me bad advice, or not bad advice, but bad feedback, you know, constructive, critical feedback, but still bad. Like, hey, you should have done this better. Or let's say you broke production, or, you know, you let this code go through without it being reviewed for any reason. I would just take it so much to heart and just become sad or jealous or angry instead of thinking to myself, digesting it and thinking, how can I improve? And that's what took me so long to get better at, right? It wasn't until one of my friends, who's now one of my best friends, he was a groomsman at my wedding just a month ago. His name is Jason. He really taught me to be tough, right? So anytime something bad happened, he just said, get better.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
And that was really hard for me to swallow, because imagine when you're feeling bad, you want someone to be there with you and ask you, hey, how can I help? You know, where do you feel like you went wrong? Let's talk it out. But he was just like, get better. And I hated hearing that. I hated it so much because I'm like, man, you suck. You know, like, just tell me something good. I don't want to hear something so bad right now. But after a while, as I got better, as I got wiser, as I noticed the key players around me, the people that were really good, I took the advice from Jason, I took the advice from my managers, and I would come back home or maybe go back to my desk and think like, okay, if they told me that one thing, how can I actually get better? What can I do to progress? Let me really think that this is great feedback. I mean, you're only as good as the feedback that you're given. And I think everyone should be striving to find a great mentor or someone that could give them that honest feedback, because that's the only way you're gonna get better. And that's a key point, because I feel like if you ask your friends, like, you know, most people are gonna tell you what it is you want to hear and not what you need to hear, because people are just, they don't really want to hurt you. Like they might feel bad giving you advice because they might feel like you're gonna take it the wrong way. So they'd rather just say like, oh yeah, good job, keep it up. Because you're gonna feel good. You're gonna feel good if they say that. They're gonna feel all right. So it's kind of like a win-win. Whereas if they tell you, hey, you should get better, maybe you react negatively and all of a sudden they're the bad guy, right? So I think if you're hearing this and you're in a similar boat where you're sensitive, just realize that every single point of criticism is an opportunity for growth. And if you just take it and listen to it and react to it accordingly, you can get so much better, so much faster. Instead of wasting time like I did, being sad about it or angry or jealous or any of these like negative emotions that are just not constructive at all. So that's the second point. And the final point I want to make is being a yes man. So what does this mean? It means that every meeting that I would go to, I would ask questions, or they would ask me questions. Hey, Rafael, do you understand this? Yes, no, I understand. I know exactly what it is you're talking about. Of course. And then I'd go back to my desk and I'd have this like existential crisis. Like, what am I going to do? Now I got to go and scramble and start talking to people and probably annoying them, you know? And guess what? After some time, my manager noticed it and he came up to me and he says, hey, Rafael, you know, I noticed that you say in meetings that you understand something, but then like the day after you're asking a ton of questions of things that we just went over. Like what happened? Why is there a disconnect there? What I should have done was said, I don't understand this, you know? And better yet, you can say, I don't understand this. Can we take a couple more minutes just to dive a little deeper into that? How does this impact the business? What value does it bring? How does it connect with the work that I'm doing? You know, so on and so forth. There's so many ways that you can approach this. And most likely, certainly, for sure, the person that's telling you how to do something, they will respect you more if you say you don't understand something, because it shows you're being more transparent, you're being more humble, right? No one likes to admit they don't know something, but if you do, then, you know, you're just gonna be better off. It's like when you know, you're in a meeting and someone asks, oh, is there any questions? And no one raises their hand, like people are shy, but you know, everyone has a question and they're just hoping that one person asks the question so they can all have the answer because you're just too shy to ask it. It's kind of like in a similar thing, you know, don't be a yes man. If you don't understand something, really genuinely ask. I don't know the answer. I don't know. How can I get better? What should I do? The same things I went over earlier. And if you do need to ask questions, but you know, after, something that I would do that was bad is I would ask one question in 1 hour, next hour ask another question, hour after that ask another question. So I mean, on an 8-hour workday, it's like eight questions every single day, right? The best thing to do is compile a list of these questions and then set up an in-person meeting, you know, with this person. Or if you're still working remotely, do a Zoom meeting. But take a time, set half an hour, 1 hour to go over each one of those questions individually, and it's just gonna be a lot better because now you're not wasting this person's time. In 1 hour, you're covering N questions instead of, you know, taking N hours to ask all questions, if that makes sense, right? Instead of, if you have 8 questions, take 8 hours, or you can take 1 hour and ask 8 questions, you know? So those were some of the mistakes that I made early on in my career. Just really wanted to open up because I feel like it's important that we just reflect on ourselves and some of these mistakes. A lot of times you got to really step back, and the only way to grow is to reflect on past mistakes and get better. So again, if you're like me and you made these mistakes, I'm hoping that you don't make them and you can learn from this video. But anyway, yeah, just a different type of thing, you know, more open. It was really fun making this video and no script. I feel so much more comfortable doing this. It just feels more like me because this is just always how I am. Like I made a joke, it's not really a joke, but in my wedding, we had to do a first speech, or I had to do a first speech. And I didn't prepare it. There was not even a note, not even a sentence. And I just winged the whole thing and it came out great because I just feel like some things are better said when they're from the heart. So anyway, that's everything I got. And if you like the video, thumbs up, you know, peace sign, whatever. I always do this at the end of my video, so it's just like a habit for me to do that. But if you like the video, drop a comment. Let me know some of the things that you have struggled with in your career early on or even now. And how are the ways you're trying to get better at it? And I would love to start a discussion with everyone that's watching. Leave a comment, like the video, subscribe if you want to see more of this content just about career stuff, software stuff, just really anything in life. And yeah, so as always, I'll see you all next time. Can't wait to make another video. So take it easy, everyone. Later.